My wife thought I was a wimp until I showed up at her hotel room, Reddit cheating stories. I'll never forget the night I stood in front of that hotel door, my hand trembling, not out of fear, but out of something far deeper. Rage. Betrayal. Heartbreak. For years, my wife thought of me as the quiet one, the pushover husband who never raised his voice, who always avoided conflict. To her, I was the safe bet, the man who would never challenge her, never fight back. And maybe for too long, I lived up to that reputation. But what she didn't realize was that even the calmest man has his breaking point. My wife, Claire, and I had been married for 10 years. We built a life together that seemed perfect on the outside, a beautiful home, stable careers, and friends who envied how peaceful our marriage looked. But beneath that surface, I was slowly being chipped away by her words. You're too soft. You never stand up for yourself. Sometimes I wish you were more like, she'd compare me to other men, louder, brasher, more dominant. I let it slide because I loved her, and I thought proving myself wasn't necessary in a marriage. But Claire, she wanted something else. It started with late nights at work, excuses about business trips, her phone constantly face down. I wasn't stupid. I noticed the changes. The perfume I didn't recognize. The smile she no longer saved for me. The way she spoke to me, like I was a nuisance rather than a husband. Every sign screamed what I didn't want to admit. Still, I told myself maybe I was imagining things. Maybe my insecurities were clouding my judgment. But the truth doesn't stay buried forever. One night, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed. I never checked her messages before, I thought it was a betrayal of trust. But something inside me pushed me to pick it up. What I saw made my stomach drop. A string of messages with a man named D. Not work-related, not friendly, intimate. Plans for a hotel. Words like, can't wait to see you again, and, he'll never know. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. 10 years of marriage, 10 years of trust, shattered in seconds. My heart begged me to cry, to collapse, but my mind told me something else, no more. I wouldn't confront her at home where she could spin lies. I wouldn't yell or beg. Instead, I was going to see the truth with my own eyes. The next day, I acted like nothing was wrong. I kissed her goodbye as she packed her suitcase for another business trip. But when she left, I followed. My chest pounded as I trailed her car across town to a fancy hotel. I waited in the parking lot, watching her walk inside with a smile that wasn't for me. She wasn't meeting colleagues. She was meeting him. I sat there for an hour, fighting my own reflection in the rearview mirror. The man staring back wasn't weak anymore. I wasn't the quiet pushover she could manipulate. I was a husband who deserved respect, and tonight, I was going to demand it. Finally, I walked into the hotel, my legs steady even as my heart raced. I found the room number from the messages I had memorized. And there it was. Room 418. I stood outside that door, listening to muffled laughter inside. My hand hovered over the handle, my breath sharp. For the first time in years, I felt power. Not aggression, but clarity. I swiped the spare key I had taken from her bag before she left. The door clicked open, and silence fell inside. There she was, Claire, in lingerie I had never seen before, her eyes wide with shock. Beside her, half-dressed, was the man she had chosen over me. Mark, she whispered, her voice trembling. I can explain. No, I cut her off, my voice calm but firm. Stronger than I had ever sounded. You don't get to explain. You made your choice. And now I'm making mine. I didn't shout. I didn't throw things. I simply walked in, set her wedding ring on the nightstand, and looked her straight in the eye. For once, she saw me not as the quiet husband, but as the man who finally stood tall. Her lover tried to speak, but I raised my hand. This isn't about you. It never was. This is about a woman who thought she could walk all over her husband and never face the consequences. Claire's face turned pale. She reached for me, but I stepped back. You thought I was weak, I told her, my voice breaking but steady. You mistook kindness for weakness. But today, you see the truth. I'm done. With that, I turned and walked out, leaving her frozen in shock. The days that followed were not easy. Divorce papers were filed, friends took sides, and I faced nights where the loneliness felt unbearable. But slowly, I rebuilt myself. I focused on my health, my career, my passions I had abandoned to keep her happy. For the first time in years, I felt free, not because I left her, but because I found myself. Months later, Claire tried reaching out. She begged for forgiveness, told me she made a mistake, that the man wasn't who she thought he was. But I didn't go back. I couldn't. Because once you realize your worth, you don't return to someone who never valued it. Today, when I look back, I don't feel anger anymore. I feel gratitude. She showed me who she really was, and in doing so, she forced me to show who I could be. The wimp she mocked. He's gone. The man who walked out of that hotel room that night. He's still here, stronger than ever. And if there's one message I can leave behind, it's this: never let someone mistake your silence for weakness. Sometimes, the quietest men have the loudest strength when it matters most.